Dagon Turner over there learned to whisper in a sawmill. From 20 feet away, I can hear every word he's saying. Do you hear me? Yeah. Okay. I don't know why we're whispering if we're this loud. Oh, yeah? Never mind. It's worse. Yeah. All right, y'all. Let's go over this thing. Go ahead and exchange it with somebody. Exchange. That means you give someone your paper and you get somebody else's paper. It doesn't have to be theirs because it might be like a three-way swap, right? I don't care. As long as you end up with somebody else's paper. This is like mass accountability. We're gonna see what somebody else thought, and they're gonna see what you thought. While I wait, we'll look at this pretty picture. Erosion on some sedimentary rock formations. Yeah. All right. The paper says motion's all around us when you walk into class, ride a bike, watch a car drive by, or have a discussion about a starship descending into the atmosphere to make a rendezvous, something like that. You are observing motion. In physics, we describe motion using several important terms. Position is where something is located. Displacement is how far something has moved from its starting point and in what direction. Speed is how fast something's moving regardless of direction. Average velocity is speed with a direction. You're asking what's the difference between speed and velocity. Speed is just how fast. Velocity is how fast and to where, like what direction. Acceleration is how quickly the speed or velocity of something changes. Let's practice. Sure. Fill in the blank. When I get to the pause, you all fill it in. The difference between an object's final position and its starting position is called? Displacement. Oh, I thought I was going to have a loud, like echoing stereo sound. Dolby 5.1, like everybody. No. Let's try again on number 2. Yes, 1 was displacement. 2, the rate at which an object's velocity changes over time is known as? Acceleration. That really wasn't much better. Oh. Number 3, if you walk in a big circle and end up where you started, your displacement is? 0. Number 4, the total distance traveled divided by the time taken. Total time taken is the?
Average speed.
Average speed or just speed? It does say average speed in the word bank. You guys had a word bank. Number 5, if a car goes from rest, how fast is rest? 0. If a car goes from rest to 60 miles an hour in 5 seconds, it is experiencing 2 people. 2 people got acceleration. Or are all of you just lazy? Or your mouths don't work? You don't want to expend the energy to move your lips and force air through your voice box thingy. What? Shh, I don't want to hear it. I wanted to hear acceleration. All right, here we go. You good? Davis, you guys are going to have a conversation the whole time, or? Okay. Number 6, which of the following is a vector quantity? Does speed have a direction? Does distance have a direction? Does time have a direction? Time doesn't even have a well, I guess time does have a magnitude, doesn't it? Okay, all right. Vector quantities have both Mm, magnitude and Despicable Me, the Victor character, aka Vector, explained it like you guys didn't learn anything from your childhood. Didn't you? Well, you should. But you know what a vector quantity is, so you don't need to watch it. Magnitude and direction. So yes, number 6, displacement has both distance and direction. So you've got a magnitude and a direction. Number 7, if a runner travels 100 meters east in 10 seconds, what's their average velocity? So we have speed is equal to distance divided by time. Average velocity is equal to displacement divided by time. They look basically the same. That's why people are like, it's interchangeable. But no, this is distance. This is displacement. This, therefore, is a vector quantity. Oops, I have it backwards. Good grief. This, therefore, is a vector quantity. Why? Because displacement is a vector quantity. Distance is not. Was anybody going to correct me on that? You were going to? You should have. Before I corrected myself, then you'd be like, ha ha, I corrected Mr. Hanson. Yeah. All right. Moving on. Where did I put my paper? I get lost sometimes. So what did we say the answer was? Well, yeah, we can put it in just so you see it. So it's asking for velocity. So we use this one. And it says displacement is 100 meters. And because it's a vector, we have to have the east. Divided by time, which is 10 seconds. 100 divided by 10 is 10 meters per second. You guys see that? I feel like sometimes you forget like how to read division. Or you forget that a fraction is division, okay? Meters per second. Meters per second. It's the same thing. And then we'd throw the east there. You're used to miles per hour. It's the same thing, though. If we had miles up here and hours here, it'd be miles per hour, right? All right. Actually, I want to back up. Back up to number 5. Don't flip over yet. Back up to number 5. It says if a car goes from rest to from rest to 60 miles per hour in 5 seconds, it's experiencing acceleration. How much? How much acceleration is it experiencing? Remember our formula for acceleration? How much acceleration? So A for acceleration equals what minus what over time? What's VF and VI? Final velocity minus initial velocity. What was the final velocity in number 5? 60 miles an hour. So you put 60 here, 60 mph, minus rest was the initial, which is what? 0 miles per hour, divided by time, which was what? 5 seconds. Well, 60 minus 0 is, so we can just get rid, no, 60 minus 0 is not 0, it's 60. Heavens to Betsy. So what is 60 divided by 5, everybody? That remembers like 2nd or 3rd grade math? 12, good. I think you guys did that without a calculator. I'm so proud. So Do you see the invisible tear? It's happiness, though. It's not sad crying. 12. 12 what? Do the exact same thing. Miles. What does it say? All you got to do is read it. What does it say? Miles per hour. Don't lose it. Put it right there. Miles per hour. What's this? Per. I need to keep that too. Per second. Guys, it's an acceleration value. It has to have 2 units of time. Has to. Could we change seconds into hours? Yeah, it'd be 0.0 whatever 5, or I don't even know if it'd be a 5. Whatever that would convert to. And then you would have miles per hour. If we converted these seconds to hours, what would this be then? Miles per hour, because we converted the seconds to hour. Or we'd be able to say miles per hour squared. What do you mean per day? You're just making stuff up. Be careful. I'm going to throw this marker at you. Couldn't you do that? It'd be, look, you'd put like MI for miles so you don't confuse it with meters. Miles per hour squared or something. I don't know how you're going to do it, but that would work, right? But we don't have that. And the number would change too, of course, if you convert it out. 12 miles per hour per second. All right, moving on. You can flip it over now. Well, the question's on the bottom of the first page. So number 8, what does it mean if an object's acceleration is 0? Is it A, its speed is decreasing? If its acceleration is 0, can its speed be decreasing? No, because that would be acceleration. Can its speed be increasing? No. Can its velocity be constant? It has to be. Has to be. If it's moving in a circle, is it accelerating? Even if, yes. Even if it's traveling the exact same speed the whole time driving in the circle, isn't it accelerating? Why? Constantly changing direction. Good. All right, so the number for number 8 is C. Velocity is constant. Number 9, which situation shows only a change in velocity but not speed? Remember, speed's only one part of velocity. Go, turn. A car turning at a constant speed. So they're not changing speed, but they are changing direction, so it's still acceleration. Change in velocity. Number 10, a cyclist moves 20 meters north, then 15 meters south. What is the total displacement? Anybody? Throw it out.
5 meters.
5 meters north. Because what we got, let's put this as our baseline for where we're starting, okay? And we'll pretend this is a north-oriented map. So you're going to start by going 20 meters north, right? 20 meters north. And then you like stop here, so we'll have like a stop line. You stop there, and you turn around and you come back 15 meters south. That looks terrible. 20 meters north. So you end up about here-ish, right? Which is still 5 meters north. Make sense to everybody? Does it make sense to anybody now that they saw this, but they were struggling with it in the moment? Okay, good. If you did, it's sometimes important, sometimes helpful to draw a picture. Number 11. All right, 11, 12, and 13 are word problems. If you had something to the effect of for an answer, okay? Number 11 says, explain the difference between speed and velocity if you said something about velocity including a direction. They're the same except velocity adds direction, which makes it a vector quantity. Number 12, describe a real-life example where an object has acceleration. Oh, my heavens. Acceleration. Any change in velocity. That means if something is falling, it's going to accelerate until it reaches the ground and stop, right? Or it reaches terminal velocity, at which point it wouldn't be accelerating anymore, right? Turning in a car, accelerating or decelerating, positive, negative acceleration. So any change in speed, any change in direction. Yes. Yeah. And sometimes we think of right or left, but yeah, if you were driving level and now you're going downhill, that change is acceleration or up the hill. Yes. Number 13, why can displacement be zero even if distance is not? Give an example. So we talked for that lesson about like NASCAR. They start somewhere and they go around a bunch of times, but they end up basically at the same spot. So they travel a lot of distance. Like it was a Indianapolis 500 or something. They went 500 miles, but they ended up essentially where they started. Yes.
Because like distance is like how many steps you take.
Yeah. Yeah. The give an example. Explain why. Right. They drove lots of miles, but they ended up in the same spot. Or you took. If I take 10 steps that way and 10 steps back, yeah, I traveled 20 steps, but I'm not displaced. I end up not being displaced. I'm right where I was. Good. All right. Give it back to the person. Count up how many you got right out of 13. How many did you get right? Give it back to the person. They can count up their own if you marked it or whatever. How many did you get right out of 13? Yes. Yeah. If you're not sure how they graded it, then yeah, have them count it up for you. Everybody good? All right, raise your hand if you missed. And guys, this is a casual, casual formative assessment. We're just seeing where we are. How many of y'all missed one or none? You either missed one or none. Okay, several. How many of y'all missed two or three? Most of the rest of you. Good. If you missed 5, I think that would be borderline failing. I'd have to do the math. I can't do 8 divided by 13 in my head. Can I? No. It'd take me a minute. 8 clear. 8 divided by 13. Yeah, that's about it. I was right. Look at that. Maybe I kind of estimate. You could miss 5 and be barely passing. Okay? Barely passing. Are we going to have time to read at all? Yeah. Don't start.
I mean,
we have 6 minutes. We could read a page or two. Shush. My mind is made up. You cannot convince me otherwise. So we were on page 28. First full paragraph is read. Shh. So graduation. Go ahead and open up. We're on top of page 28. You got to stop talking too. You're the one saying that this book's important or whatever. No, we read the top, the very top.
I know, but why are you only on page 2?
Because that's how far we've gotten. All right, here we go. Graduation right after that. And 3 days later, my birthday. So they had that little scene where they were in class talking about things and stuff and how violence does, in fact, solve issues. So they graduated. 3 days later is his birthday, followed in less than a week by Carl's birthday, his best friend. And I still hadn't told Carl that I was joining up, or that I wasn't joining up, right? He's chicken. He's not. Goodness. I'm sure he assumed that I would not, but we didn't discuss it out loud. Embarrassing. I simply arranged to meet him the day after his birthday, and we went down to the recruiting office together. So he's not going there to join up. He's there for what? Moral support. He's just going to be there for his friend. On the steps of the federal building, we ran into Carmencita Ibanez. I'm sure I'm butchering that pronunciation. First period, I had a student help me. It doesn't help. A classmate of ours, and one of the nice things about being a member of a race with two sexes, he is paying her a compliment.
A classmate of ours, and one of the nice things about being a member of a race with two sexes, Carmen wasn't my girl. She wasn't anybody's girl. She never made 2 dates in a row with the same boy and treated all of us with equal sweetness, and rather impersonally, that I knew her pretty well, as she often came over and used our swimming pool because it was Olympic length. Sometimes with one boy, sometimes with another, or alone, as Mother urged her to. Mother considered her a good influence for once she was right.
Okay, I want to reread a part because I really like the way he uses words, the way he carefully chooses words. It says, Carmencita, a classmate of ours, and one of the nice things about being a member of a race with two sexes. Carmen is what?
A girl.
Who happens to be
Beautiful.
beautiful. And what? Not just beautiful. What is this? How does she treat the boys?
Amazing. Impersonal.
Oh, she's nice.
Equal sweetness. She's sweet. Guys, she's not only nice to look at, but she's nice. She's sweet. Shh. Shh. Riddle. Tired of having to say shh. Listen. She does it sound like she dates around?
No.
Yeah. Shh. And Johnny's mother urges her to just swim alone. Don't swim with boys that you bring over. Just swim alone. She urges her to. Why does she urge her to do that? Why? Okay. Do you think maybe Johnny's mother is worried that maybe, hanging out with boys in swimsuits would give her a bad reputation?
Yes.
Maybe. Is that affecting Carmencita? Do I get the impression that Carmen is a floozy, though?
I don't.
You've never heard that word?
Someone that gets around.
Yes. So a floozy is someone who dates around on a whim and maybe in common parlance, modern parlance, hookup. That is not the impression I get. Shh. Especially since Johnny's mother calls her a good influence. It sounds to me like Carmen doesn't want to get serious with a boy, but that she enjoys male company. Does that make sense? There's nothing, I don't get anything like sexual from this. Like she wants, I'll put it to you this way. It's casual dating the way it should be. Guys, I've got 4 daughters. I have 4 daughters. Shh. If one of my daughters went out with one boy to go see a movie or hang out with friends, one of the safe dates, it's a getting to know you outside of the school environment type of thing. Does that make sense? If they went and hung out with a boy for a couple of hours in a safe environment, and then the next week they wanted to go out with a different boy and get to know that person outside of the school, that is not a bad idea.
No, I get what you're saying.
It's not a bad idea at all. It's a very actually, it's a really smart way. Get to know a few, and she's not wanting to get bogged down. Okay, and you'll see in a minute why she's not wanting to get serious and make bad decisions with any boys. So she, as friendly, goes out with these boys. She's sweet to all of them. Guys, listen. It says and rather impersonally. So she kind of gets to know him, but she doesn't get attached, right? I don't know what you're... Again, I'm telling you, I absolutely 100%, she is not sleeping around.
Mm-mm.
Otherwise, his mother would be like, stay away from her. She's trouble. Right? Wouldn't she?
Yes.
All right, so Johnny agrees with her. She saw us and waited, dimpling. Hi, fellas. So she sees them and she says, hi. Hello, Ochi Trornaya. I answered, what brings you here? And somebody in my other class, third period, looked it up, and they said that means like dark-eyed one, I guess. So she's got like dark eyes, maybe dark brown eyes. Shh. So it's a term of endearment. Does that make sense? What brings you here? He asks. Can't you guess? Today is my birthday. Oh, happy returns. So I'm joining up. Oh, I think Carl was as surprised as I was. But Carmencita was like that. She never gossiped and kept her own affairs to herself. No fooling? I added brilliantly. Why would I be fooling? I'm going to be a spaceship pilot. At least I'm going to try for it. No reason why you shouldn't make it, Carl said quickly. He was right. I know now just how right he was. Carmen was small and neat, perfect health and perfect reflexes. She could make competitive diving routine look easy, and she was quick at mathematics. Me, I tapered off with a C in algebra and a B in business arithmetic. She took all the math our school offered and a tutored advanced course on the side. But it had never occurred to me to wonder why. Fact was, little Carmen was so ornamental that you just never thought about her being useful. Let that sink in. Start to be offended, and then let me correct you. Okay? Depending on how you want to come at this, you might be offended. He says all these good things about her, right? He just said a bunch of good things about her. She's good at math. She took extra classes, but he never knew why. He never thought about how she was going to apply that knowledge in a useful way. Why? Because he was too busy being distracted by what?
Just her.
By her. It says she was too busy being ornamental. Or not busy. It says little Carmen was so ornamental. Ornamental means really good to look at. Right? So he's dreamy-eyed over how beautiful she is. He knew she's good at math. She took extra courses, did all this work, but he didn't think about what use she was going to put those skills to. So if you're superficial about it, like, oh, he doesn't think women can be useful. They're just pretty to look at. That's not what he's saying at all. I'm just cautioning you. If you went there, shame on you. Johnny is not thinking that way. But he does think she's beautiful. Anyway. Please. Bad Wolves? No Wilson. So I got to do like a Tom Hanks impression. Wilson! I, said Carl, am here to join up too. And me, I agreed. Was he planning on joining up? No. Both of us. No, I hadn't made any decision. My mouth was leading its own life. Does that happen to anybody? Sometimes your mouth just says things that why did I just say? Oh, wonderful, she says. And I'm going to buck for space pilot too, I added firmly. She didn't laugh. She answered very seriously, oh, how grand. Perhaps in training we'll run into each other. I hope so. Collision courses? Asked Carl. That's a no good way to pilot. Don't be silly, Carl. On the ground, of course. Are you going to be a pilot too? Me? Carl answered. I'm no truck driver. You know me, Starside R&D if they'll have me. Electronics. What's R&D? Research and development. Good. So he wants to be kind of behind the scenes developing things that the military would use. Truck driver indeed. I hope they stick you out on Pluto and let you freeze. No, I don't. Good luck. Let's go in, shall we? The recruiting station was inside a railing in the rotunda. A fleet sergeant sat at a desk there. In dress uniform, gaudy as a circus. His chest was loaded with ribbons I couldn't read, but his right arm was off so short that his tunic had been tailored without any sleeve at all. And when you came up to the rail, you could see that he had no legs. It didn't seem to bother him. Carl said, "Good morning. I want to join up." "Me too," I added. He ignored us. He managed to bow while sitting down and said, "Good morning, young lady. What can I do for you?" "I want to join up too." He smiled. "Good girl. If you'll just scoot up to room 201 and ask for Major Rojas, she'll take care of you." He looked her up and down and said, "Pilot?" "If possible." "You look like one. Well, see Miss Rojas." She left, with thanks to him and a see you later to us. He turned his attention to us, sized us up with a total absence of the pleasure he had shown in little Carmen. "So," he said, "for what, labor battalions?" I'm just checking my GoGuardian, make sure everybody's doing what they need to be doing. "Oh, no," I said, "I'm going to be a pilot." He stared at me and simply turned his eyes away. "You?" "I'm interested in the Research and Development Corps," Carl said soberly. "Especially electronics. I understand the chances are pretty good." "They are if you can cut it," the fleet sergeant said grimly. "And not if you don't have what it takes, both in preparation and ability. Look, boys, have you any idea why they have me out here in front?" I didn't understand him. Carl said, "Why?" "Because the government doesn't care one bucket of swill whether you join or not. Because it's become stylish with some people, too many people, to serve a term and earn a franchise and be able to wear a ribbon on your lapel which says that you're a veteran, whether you've ever seen combat or not. But if you want to serve, and I can't talk you out of it, then we have to take you. Because that's your constitutional right. It says that everybody, male or female, shall have his born right to pay his service and assume full citizenship. But the facts are that we are getting hard pushed to find things for all the volunteers to do that aren't just glorified KP. KP is kitchen duty. You can't all be real military men. We don't need that many, and most of the volunteers aren't number one soldier material anyhow. Got any idea what it takes to make a soldier? No, I admitted. Most people think that all it takes is 2 hands and 2 feet and a stupid mind. Maybe so for cannon fodder. Possibly that was all that Julius Caesar required, but a private soldier today is a specialist so highly skilled that he would rate master in any other trade. We can't afford stupid ones. So for those who insist on serving their term but haven't got what we want and must have, we've got to think up a whole list of dirty, nasty, dangerous jobs that will either run them home with their tails between their legs and their terms uncompleted, or at the very least make them remember for the rest of their lives that their citizenship is valuable to them because they've paid a high price for it. Take that young lady who is here, who wants to be a pilot. I hope she makes it. We always need good pilots. Not enough of them. Maybe she will. But if she misses, she may wind up in Antarctica, her pretty eyes red from never seeing anything but artificial light, and her knuckles calloused from hard, dirty work. I wanted to tell him that The least Carmencita would get was computer programmer for the Skywatch. She really was a whiz at math. But he was talking. So they put me out here to discourage you boys. Look at this. He shoved his chair around to make sure that we could see he had no legs. Let's assume that you don't wind up digging tunnels on Luna or playing human guinea pig for new diseases through sheer lack of talent. Suppose we do make a fighting man out of you. Take a look at me. This is what you may buy if you don't buy the whole farm and cause your folks to receive a deeply regret telegram. Which is more likely because these days in training or in combat, there aren't many wounded. If you buy it at all, they likely throw in a coffin. I'm the rare exception. I was lucky, though maybe you wouldn't call it luck. He paused, then added, so why don't you go home, boys? Go to college, and then go be chemists or insurance brokers or whatever. A term of service isn't a kiddie camp. It's real military service, rough and dangerous, even in peacetime, or a most unreasonable facsimile thereof. Not a vacation, not a romantic adventure. Well, Carl said, I'm here to join up. Me too. You realize that you aren't allowed to pick your service. Carl said, I thought we could state our preferences. Certainly, and that's the last choice you'll make until the end of your term. The placement officer pays attention to your choice too. First thing he does is check whether there's any demand for left-handed glass blowers this week, that being what you think would make you happy. Having reluctantly conceded that there is a need for your choice, probably at the bottom of the Pacific, he then tests you for innate ability and preparation. About once in 20 times, he is forced to admit that everything matches and you get the job. Until some practical joker gives you dispatch orders to do something very different. But the other 19 times, he turns you down and decides that you are just what they have been needing to field test survival equipment on Titan. He added meditatively, it's chilly on Titan. And it's amazing how often experimental equipment fails to work. Have to have real field tests, though. Laboratories just never get all the answers. I can qualify for electronics, Carl said firmly, if there are jobs open in it. So Carl's still confident, undeterred. So, and how about you, bub? I hesitated and suddenly realized that if I didn't take a swing at it, I would wonder all my life whether I was anything but the boss's son. I'm going to chance it, he said. So think about that. He wasn't really planning on going in there, but he's in the moment. He's feeling like this is something he kind of needs to do. Well, you can't say I didn't try. Got your birth certificates with you? And let's see your IDs. 10 minutes later, still not sworn in, we were on the top floor being prodded and poked and fluoroscoped. I decided that the idea of a physical examination is that if you aren't ill, then they do their darndest to make you ill. If the attempt fails, you're in. I asked one of the doctors what percentage of the victims flunked the physical. He looked startled. Why, we never fail anyone. The law doesn't permit us to. Huh? I mean, excuse me, doctor, then what's the point of this goose flesh parade? Why, the purpose is, he answered, hauling off and hitting me in the knee with a hammer. I kicked him, but not hard. Is to find out what duties you are physically able to perform. But if you came in here in a wheelchair and blind in both eyes and were silly enough to insist on enrolling, they would find something silly enough to match. Counting the fuzz on a caterpillar by touch, maybe. The only way you can fail is by having the psychiatrist decide that you are not able to understand the oath. Does that make sense? They're going to let you join. If you really want to join, they're going to let you join. You might end up doing something really silly, but they'll let you join. As long as you're mentally competent, you understand what you're getting yourself into. Oh, doctor, were you already a doctor when you joined up? Or did they decide you ought to be a doctor and send you to school? Me? He seemed shocked. Youngster, do I look that silly? I'm a civilian employee. Okay, so U.S. military, United States Department of the Army, as an example, is the Army full of soldiers? Sure, but it also has civilian employees. Department of the Army civilian employees. So he's one of those. Oh, sorry, sir. No offense, but military service is for ants. I see them go. I see them come back when they do come back. I see what it's done to them. And for what? A purely nominal political privilege that pays not one centavo, and that most of them aren't competent to use wisely anyhow. Now, if they would let medical men run things, but never mind. You might think I was talking treason, free speech, or not. But youngster, if you've got savvy enough to count to 10, you'll back out while you still can. Here, take these papers back to the recruiting sergeant and remember what I said. So, Johnny's dad wants him to join? No. The recruiter wants him to join? No. Well, he doesn't not want him to join. He's just like, this isn't for everybody. So he's almost discouraging him, right? The doctor wants him to join. No. They're all basically saying, you'd probably be better off just staying a civilian. I went back to the rotunda. Carl was already there. The fleet sergeant looked over my papers and said glumly, apparently you both are almost insufferably healthy, except for holes in the head. He's saying they're crazy because they still want to join. One moment while I get some witnesses. He punched a button and 2 female clerks came out, one old battle axe and one kind of cute. He pointed to our physical examination forms, our birth certificates, and our IDs, said formally, I invite and require you, each and severally, to examine these exhibits, determine what they are, and to determine each independently what relation, if any, each document bears to these 2 men standing here in your presence. They're supposed to make sure all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed, make sure that the documents match the people, everything's going to be legal. They treated it as a dull routine, which I'm sure it was. Nevertheless, they scrutinized every document. They took our fingerprints again. And the cute one put a jeweler's loop, is that how you pronounce that? In her eye and compared prints from birth to now. One of those little eyeglass things that you can like zoom in. She did the same with signatures. I began to doubt if I was myself. The fleet sergeant added, did you find exhibits relating to their present competence to take the oath of enrollment? If so, what? We found, the older one said, appended to each record of physical examination, a duly certified conclusion by an authorized and delegated board of psychiatrists stating that each of them is mentally competent to take the oath and that neither one is under the influence of alcohol, narcotics, other disabling drugs, nor of hypnosis. Very good, he turned to us. Repeat after me. Oh boy, here we go. I've heard that a few times. Repeat after me. I, being of legal age of my own free will, we each echoed, being of legal age of my own free will, without coercion, promise, or inducement of any sort, after having been duly advised and warned of the meaning and consequences of this oath, do now enroll in the federal service of the Terran Federation for a term of not less than 2 years and as much longer as may be required by the needs of the service. I gulped a little over that part. I had always thought of a term as 2 years, even though I knew better because that's the way people talk about it. Why, we were signing up for life. Guys, if any of you are ever giving ideas or thoughts of military service in our military, there are times when if you're in, they can hold you in past your contract. So in the early 2000s with the surges in Iraq and Afghanistan, some of the soldiers were like, hey, my ETS, end of term of service, my contract is up next month. And Uncle Sam says, so? We still need you here. It was called stop loss, if you've never heard of it. Even now, I retired 1.5 years ago. I've put on a few pounds since then. Do you think they couldn't call me back? They can. They can pull me out of retirement and, say, hey, we need you. Can you still fit in your uniform? And I'd be like, go get a new one. Do a little dieting. Okay. So he's learning a little bit. There's more to it. I mean, he knew it, but he's being reminded. I swear to uphold and defend the Constitution of the Federation against all its enemies on or off Terra, to protect and defend the constitutional liberties and privileges of all citizens and lawful residents of the Federation, its associated states and territories, to perform on or off Terra such duties as of any lawful nature as may be assigned to me by lawful direct or delegated authority, and to obey all lawful orders of the Commander-in-Chief of the Terran Service and all officers or delegated persons placed over me, and to require such obedience from all members of the service or other persons or non-human beings lawfully placed under my orders. And on being honorably discharged at the completion of my full term of active service or upon being placed on inactive retired status after having completed such full term, to carry out all duties and obligations and to enjoy all privileges of Federation citizenship, including but not limited to the duty, obligation, and privilege of exercising sovereign franchise for the rest of my natural life, unless stripped of honor by verdict, finally sustained of court of my sovereign peers. Whew. Mr. Dubois had analyzed the service oath for us in history and moral philosophy and had made us study it phrase by phrase. But you don't really feel the size of the thing until it comes rolling over you. All in one ungainly piece, as heavy and unstoppable as Juggernaut's carriage. Yeah, not the character from X-Men, sorry. At least it made me realize that I was no longer a civilian. With my shirt tail out, nothing on my mind. I didn't know yet what I was, but I knew what I wasn't. What does he mean he doesn't know yet what he is? Yeah, he doesn't know what he's going to end up doing in the service, but he knows he's no longer a civilian. So help me God. We both ended, and Carl crossed himself, and so did the cute one. So what are Carl and the cute one, most likely? They crossed themselves. Is it up to down, side to side? I forget which order. I'm not Catholic. Not just Christian, specifically Catholic. They're most likely Catholic. After that, there were more signatures and fingerprints. All 5 of us, and flat color graphs of Carl and me were snapped then and there and embossed into our papers. So they took a photograph and put it into the papers. The fleet sergeant finally looked up. Why, it's past the break for lunch. Time for chow, lads. I swallowed hard. Sergeant? Speak up. Could I flash my folks from here? Tell them how it came out. We can do better than that. Sir? You go on 48 hours leave now, he grinned coldly. Do you know what happens if you don't come back? Court-martial? Not a thing. Not a blessed thing, except that your papers get marked term not completed satisfactorily, and you never, never, never get a second chance. This is our cooling off period, during which we shake out the overgrown babies who didn't really mean it and never should have taken the oath. It saves the government money, and it saves a power of grief for such kids and their parents. The neighbors needn't to guess. You don't even have to tell your parents. He shoved his chair away from his desk. So I'll see you at noon day after tomorrow, if I see you. Fetch your personal effects. It was a crumbly leave. Father stormed at me, then quit speaking to me. Mother took to her bed. When I finally left an hour earlier than I had to, nobody saw me off but the morning cook and the houseboys. So his dad's pleased, right? Stormed at him, so he yelled at him, and then he wouldn't talk to him anymore. Mother took to her bed, probably doing what? Probably went to her room, crying on her bed. My baby's gonna die. You know, that mothers often go to the worst place. Like, what's the worst thing that could happen to my little baby boy, right? He's joined the military, he's probably gonna die. So she's crying, as if she's losing him, right? Might she? Maybe. It says, when I finally left an hour earlier than I had to. So he wasn't even like, I got an extra hour. I could. What's he going to do? So he just goes back early. It says that the cook and the houseboys are the only servants, right? Their servants are the only ones that actually saw him off, said good luck or bye or whatever. I stopped in front of the recruiting sergeant's desk, thought about saluting, and decided I didn't know how. He looked up. Oh, here are your papers. Take them up to room 201. They'll start you through the mill. Knock and walk in. Sounds like they're like, what, wheat? They're going to be about to be ground up into flour or something. They're going in the mill, right? 2 days later, I knew I was not going to be a pilot. Some of the things the examiners wrote about me were insufficient intuitive grasp of spatial relationships, insufficient mathematical talent, deficient mathematical preparation, reaction time adequate, eyesight good. I'm glad they put those last two in. I was beginning to feel that counting on my fingers was my speed. So he kind of feels insulted, but he's been awakened, hasn't he, to how he's not adequate to do some of the jobs, right? The placement officer let me list my lesser preferences in order, and I caught 4 more days of the wildest aptitude tests I've ever heard of. I mean to say, what do they find out when a stenographer jumps on her chair and screams, "Snakes!" There was no snake, just a harmless piece of plastic hose. The written and oral tests were mostly just as silly, but they seemed happy with them, so I took them. The thing I did most carefully was to list my preferences. Naturally, I listed all of the Space Navy jobs, other than pilot, at the top. Whether I went as a power room technician or as a cook, I knew that I preferred any Navy job to any Army job. I wanted to travel. Next, I listed intelligence. A spy gets around too. and I figured that it couldn't possibly be dull. I was wrong. But never mind. After that came a long list: psychological warfare, chemical warfare, biological warfare, combat ecology. I didn't know what it was, but it sounded interesting. Logistics core, a simple mistake. I had studied logic for the debate team, and logistics turns out to have two entirely separate meanings, and a dozen others. What's logistics? Yes, it's supply. Logistics is the Amazon truck showing up at your door and giving you whatever you ordered, right? It's how do you get the things that the soldiers need to them in the right amount of time. Clear at the bottom, with some hesitation, at the bottom of his list, he put Canine Corps and infantry. I didn't bother to list the various non-combat auxiliary corps because if I wasn't picked for a combat corps, I didn't care whether they used me as an experimental animal or sent me as a laborer in the tyrannizing of Venus. Either one was a booby prize. In other words, it's like you're not really a real soldier, but we've got this thing you can go do to get your veteran status. And he didn't want that. Good for him. Mr. Weiss, the placement officer, sent me for a week after I was sworn in. Sent for me a week after I was sworn in. He was actually a retired psychological warfare major on active duty for procurement. But he wore mufti? I don't know what that word that is. And insisted on being called just Mr. And you could relax and take it easy with him. He had my list of preferences and the reports on all my tests, and I saw that he was holding my high school transcript, which pleased me. For I had done all right in school. I had stood high enough without standing so high as to be marked as a greasy grind, having never flunked any courses and dropped only one. And I had been rather a big man around school otherwise: swimming team, debate team, track squad, class treasurer, silver medal in the annual literary contest, chairman of the homecoming committee, stuff like that. A well-rounded record, and it's all down in the transcript. He looked up at me as I came in, said, "Sit down, Johnny," and looked back at the transcript, then put it down. "You like dogs?" "Huh? Yes, sir." "How well do you like them? Did your dog sleep on your bed? By the way, where's your dog now?" Why is he asking all these questions about dogs? Remember, at second to the bottom of his list, he said Canine Corps. Canines are dogs, right? Okay. Why, I don't happen to have a dog just at present, but when I did, well, no, he didn't sleep on my bed. You see, Mother didn't allow dogs in the house. But didn't you sneak him in? I thought of trying to explain Mother's not angry but terribly, terribly hurt routine. When you tried to buck her on something she had her mind made up about. But I gave up. No, sir. Have you ever seen a Neo dog? Once, sir. They exhibited one at the MacArthur Theater 2 years ago, but the SPCA made trouble for them. Let me tell you how it is with a canine team. A Neo dog is not just a dog that talks. You couldn't understand that, I couldn't understand that Neo at the MacArthur. Do they really talk? They talk. You simply have to train your ear to their accent. Their mouths can't shape B, M, P, or V, and you have to get used to their equivalents. Something like the handicap of a split palate, but with different letters. No matter. Their speech is as clear as any human speech. But a Neo dog is not a talking dog. He's not a dog at all. He's an artificially mutated symbiote derived from a stock dog. A Neo, a trained Caleb, as they're referred to, is about 6 times as bright as a dog. Say about as intelligent as a human moron. Except that the comparison's not fair to the Neo. A moron is a defective. whereas a Neo is a stable genius in his own line of work. Mr. Weiss scowled. Provided, that is, that he has his symbiote. That's the rub. You're too young ever to have been married, but you've seen marriage. Your own parents, at least. Can you imagine being married to a Caleb? Huh? No, I can't. The emotional relationship between the dog man and the man dog in the canine team is a great deal closer and much more important than is the emotional relationship in most marriages. If the master is killed, guys, you okay? You gonna talk the whole time? If the master is killed, we kill the Neo dog at once. It's all that we can do for the poor thing. A mercy killing. If the Neo dog is killed, well, we can't kill the man, even though it would be the simplest solution. Instead, we restrain him and hospitalize him and slowly put him back together. What's it sound like, y'all? Sounds like these canine teams, the man and the Neo dog, get like emotionally bonded so tightly that if the man dies, the dog is distraught, can't be saved. They put him out of his misery. They don't kill the man, even though it might be simpler, it says. They have to restrain him, hospitalize him, and slowly put him. Why do they have to restrain him? Probably going to try to kill himself because he's so upset. He's so distraught. He's so heartbroken. They can't figure out what else to do. So they restrain him, put him in a hospital, have psychiatrists work on him, try to put his emotional well-being kind of back together. Dude's going to be damaged goods, right? The rest of his life. He picked up a pen, made a mark. I don't think we can risk assigning a boy to Canine who didn't outwit his mother to have his dog sleep with him. So let's consider something else. What do you think the something else is going to be? The only thing left at the bottom of the list is infantry. We'll pick up there Tuesday.